Welcome to Art for All Ages online. Today we're going to be looking at an absolutely wonderful painting called the Bonsai Tree on the Cliff. This is a wonderful painting and everybody who looks at it's going to say, I want to paint that. And I have to tell you, some will be able to accomplish this painting, but everybody will be able to accomplish it at their level. And that is the key thing that we need to understand. There are some people that come to an art class and they already know how to paint and they're painting at this level, and that's great. What you need to understand is that we need to be able to paint at the level we are accustomed to and comfortable with. You will not all be able to paint this painting at the same level that you see sampled here today, but you will be able to paint this painting at your level. 90% of the painting usually is done with the sponge. This one is a little bit more complicated, and there might be as much as 25% brushwork to accomplish it at this high level. But you don't have to do it at that high level. You can still do it with 90% with the sponge, and then the rest of it, maybe 5 to 10% with the brush. It just won't have quite as much detail. Let's take a look at the painting today and we'll show you what we mean. This is the painting for the day today. It is a wonderful painting that we call the Bonsai Tree on the Cliff. The tree itself is fairly simple. The key difficulty is all of the detail that is found with the brushwork in the cliff. Now we're going to show you how to do this painting with the basics with only a limited amount of brushwork in the cliff, okay, so that everybody can do it. If you happen to have the skill to do it at the higher level, then by all means take it to the next level and paint it that way. Let's go ahead and get started. We're going to start off with our basic setup with the white paper and the yellow border wrapped around with the tape. We're going to be able to start today's painting to notice that it is very monochromatic, which means mostly one color. The main predominant color for today's painting is Payne's Gray. But with that said, we're also going to add a few little other colors to liven it up. And we'll start by painting the Payne's Gray with a little hint of the emerald green. And that will give us a nice color for the sky's background. We're going to use the sponge, and we're going to use the #1 motion to just simply pull nice and soft across the painting's surface. We'll wet the tip, squeeze it out, and then we'll soften that up so that it fades almost to nothing. This is kind of what we're looking for, a very, very soft background. Look at this. Mostly water down here, just a soft discoloration, but a nice light background. That's what we're looking for. If you really want to get it a little punch at the top, you can make the top a little bit darker, but you don't really want to go too dark across the top. We'll leave it like that for now and clean out our sponge. What we're going to do now is we're going to work with a combination of the brush and the sponge in concert with one another so that they're both working to our best advantage. And we'll show you how this works right now. To create the cliff area in this part of our painting, we're going to start off again with utilizing the Payne's Gray. We mostly want the Payne's Gray by itself, but if you want to add in another color like a red or a purple into there to give it a little bit more liveliness, that's fine. What we're going to do is we're going to utilize the large brush and have the sponge ready on hand. What we're going to do is we're going to give ourselves just a little hint of where we think we would like to have this cliff in the painting. Now once we have this basic shape of the cliff in the painting, we're going to utilize the edge of the brush to thicken this up a little bit so that it shows it as a nice broad surface. And the reason we want this thick and not just a thin line is because we're now going to take the sponge and we're going to simply pat. But when we do this, we don't want to pat outside in the sky area. We want to stay inside the area where we're going to have the cliff. And you can get as much or as little of this kind of Payne's gray coloring into your painting as much as you want. You can go ahead and also use a wet sponge to give yourself a little bit more of a kind of a bleeding technique. This particular patting doesn't have to be specifically dry. It can be a little bit more on the wet side. We're also going to teach you another wonderful technique with the brush. It only requires the brush and a little bit of water. Let me show you how this works. We're going to be holding the brush just above the painting. We're going to hold our finger directly at a 45-degree angle. We'll wet the brush and we'll come over to the painting and we will flick droplets of water from the brush onto the painting. Now obviously we want to be very careful when we do this because we do not want to flick water onto the sky part of the painting. Just a softness. Now if you happen to get a little few dots like that, just take the sponge and wipe that off. Now before this wetness dries, you can take the sponge and you can come back in to the rock face and pat to just kind of lift off some of that wetness, and you can begin to see there's all of these wonderful shapes that are coming out now in the texture of this rock. It's at this particular point of today's painting that if you are on a basic level, this is it. This is all you really need to do. You don't need to use a lot of fancy brushwork to bring in the detail of the cliff. You can just utilize the few techniques with the sponge only that we've shown you so far, and they will enable you to create a textured cliff for the bonsai tree. At this stage of the painting, what we want to do is we want to come in with the brush to create a little bit more of a green area. This is a softness. We don't want a very broad, bold color, so maybe a little bit more water in the paint. And we're going to come over to where we have these trees in the distance, and we're very softly going to pat a few of these distant trees on the edge of the painting over here. Now once we have the basics of some of those trees for the distance there, we're going to clean out our sponge and we're going to do the same thing that we just did with a new color. In this case, we're going to use a little bit of some light yellow. It's the bright yellow that you have, but we're going to use it on the light side. We don't want it really strong. So we're not going to make it strong. We're just going to add a little bit more water to make it softer. And that color then gets patted on as an additional color into those distant trees that you can see over here. Now once we've patted that color into the painting, we'll go back to the Payne's gray, just the Payne's gray by itself, maybe a little bit on the darker side. And what we'll do is we'll go ahead and use the sponge and pat in a few little darker spots into those trees. Again, soft and random. If it's a little on the wet side, that's okay, it'll blend in. You can also turn the sponge onto the back butt side to soften that up and blend that in there by patting onto there. And that gives us a little hint of those trees. I want this a little bit darker right here in the corner to give us some balance in our painting. So we'll get a little bit darker there for that. Soften it up as we blend in. There we go. Clean out our sponge. Now, we want to begin to give ourselves an idea of where we would like to have this tree. So instead of painting the actual bonsai tree shape itself, we're going to paint some of the leaves in the tree first. We'll go ahead and start with that same Payne's gray color, the Payne's gray, and a little touch of the emerald green. Maybe a little bit more Payne's. There we go. We don't want it too bright of a color. And if you choose to use a different color for the bonsai leaves, that's fine. We'll put that on our sponge, and now up here in the sky area, we're going to softly, softly pat to give us a little hint of where we would like to have that tree. And you'll notice the shape that I'm trying to create here is a little bit like a roller coaster. See how it does this shape here? It's like an umbrella to start off with, and then it comes over here for a roller coaster. That will help us give us a sense of the bonsai feel. What we're going to do now is we're going to actually use the brush for the very first time on today's painting. For those of you who are looking to do this at the simple level, this will be the only time you will use the brush to create this painting. Now, because we're going to be painting this tree, as almost always, we're going to turn the painting upside down. Again, you can watch our other videos on how to paint trees, and you will understand why we make the decision to turn the painting upside down. We're going to now use the small brush, just the small one, and as we have taught you in other classes, we're going to roll the brush in the paint. We're going to roll that brush into the paint to bring it to a tip, and we're going to use a little bit of a curvy kind of an S shape to create the bonsai tree. We're going to plant it here into the rock face, and then what we're going to do is we're going to plant it there, and we're going to come up. And since we want it to have a little bit of some curvature, we're going to bend it out. And again, remember, one of the best shapes for your tree is actually a Y. Now, even though this bonsai tree has some curvature to it, kind of like a backwards S, it also still has to have the basic Y shape. Also, you'll notice that we're working very hard to create branching that goes from thick to thin. This is one of the key principles of all trees. They are thicker at the bottom and thinner at the top when it comes to the branching. Now we'll go ahead and branch this side out over here. And you can make this as simple and or as complicated as you like. And if your brush is still too big to create some of those tiny, tiny lines, that's fine. You can go ahead and get yourself a very, very tiny brush. Some of the bonsai trees have branches that have come off, so that's why we create these little nodules here like this and this, where these bends are over here like this, that it kind of shows us that the tree had branches there at one point, but then probably lost them. Again, you can make this as complicated or as simple as you like. We're here to make sure that everybody can paint this, so we want to keep it on the somewhat simple side. I want to go ahead and make my base of the tree here a little bit thicker so that it supports all of the boughs and the branches above. There we go. Now, because we're already in this position, I'll go ahead and use the sponge because I can see what I'm doing, and I'm going to use some of the Payne's gray. I'll load the sponge, and I'm very softly going to pat in some really dark, punchy leaf colors right by where the branches are touching canopy. We want to make sure that that part is dark enough so that we can see what's going on here. Okay, I'll clean out my sponge. And what we want to do now is we want to go ahead and utilize the large brush to mix up a different kind of a green. Remember, variety is the spice of life. And so what we want now is a sap green that we're going to use. Now, some people in this painting may choose to use, instead of a sap green as the accent color, they may choose to use a magenta or a cherry red color. Either one of those work for the accent of this painting. I'll add a little yellow because I want it a bit brighter. Again, we're going to use the sponge in that green, and now this time, let's turn this around so I can see the top half of the painting better, because this goes into the canopy of the painting. And I want this soft green with a hint of yellow to be in the canopy top part of the tree here. There we go. Now, I'm going to turn the painting back around. You will notice that I have leaves here, but the tree does not extend that far. That tells me I need to make more branches that reach out to those leaves. Again, I'm going to utilize the small, tiny brush, rolling the brush into the paint, and I'm going to come over here and create a few more branches that branch off here into that distant part of where those leaves are, because that's going to need to have some branching there to support those leaves. Now, if I happen to have made that too dark, I can go back again with the Payne's Gray and pat in a softening darker color to blend that in there. We'll turn the painting around again. Now, for some of you, this is it. Nice and simple. It's done. And you can take the tape off and be on your merry way. But for those of you who want a little bit more extra work, we can go back to the tiny brush and create some new interesting lines and shapes and qualities in this painting that make it a little bit more interesting. So let's show you how to do that. Again, we're going to go with the small brush. We'll use the Payne's Gray. And this is more of an artistic thing, but what you want to do is you want to take a look at your particular painting, and every one of you is going to have a different feel for how this painting issue is done, because my sponge technique here with the blotting is not going to look exactly the same as yours. But what you want to do is you want to take a look at what you see in here and bring out the beauty of what you see there. So for instance, I see that there's this line that goes over here. So that tells me that I could create another type of a shape. And we're going to lighten this up a little bit. My color was a little too strong. Let's lighten this up here. And after you've created that shape, we'll move on to another shape. Now, after you've got this where it's kind of wet there, you wet the brush and you come back, and while this is still wet, you can blend and soften that shape in so it doesn't look completely like a hard line unless that's what you want. And I'll blend that into the rest of that area over there. We'll go ahead and carry that same shape on over here and bring it to the edge of our cliff. Now you can start to see that the cliff is beginning to take onto itself a life of its own. See this white area? We're going to save that white area and create a different shape over here. darken up the background over here to accent that whited area. Then we'll wet the brush and we'll soften up that area there to blend that into that other area there. This is, for me, fun stuff. I love to doodle and canoodle and to draw and to have fun and to create lots of different shapes and to see where the painting will take me and just have fun with it. There is no really right or wrong about these kinds of things. And if you're looking for the best answer, less is more. You don't want to go in and make a bunch of lines and make it really dark. You want to keep it simple. Okay? And again, take a look and see, what do you see that's already there? And if you want, you can also take the sponge and you can go back in and soften up by patting some of those areas. Now we could keep working on this part of the painting for the next hour. In fact, the painting sample that you see in the original photo for this particular painting, it actually took me 2 hours to canoodle and doodle and get all of that detail into the cliff. We're not going to take the time to show you all of that. What we have shown you are the basics of how you can do it, and you can carry on these same techniques until you finish the painting yourself. And once the painting is done, the tape is removed and you have the beautiful bonsai tree on the cliff. We hope you've enjoyed this painting today. It's a little challenging, and so we hope that you will rise to the occasion and hope that you check out some of our other paintings. If this painting was a little too difficult for you, don't worry, there's plenty of others where we never pick up the brush at all and we're only going to use the sponge. Hope to see you then. Thank you. Thank you for watching our video. If you enjoyed this video, check out our full library for more videos with our sponge painting system at artforallagesonline.com. Or if you're interested in live art classes for you or your community, check us out at artforallages.com. We wish you well in all your artistic endeavors. Thank you.